So I'm Tim Peck, and I'm running for Congress for Indiana 9. Thank you. I think you might be applauding Indiana 9 because you used to be Indiana 6. But you also used to be Indiana 9 before that. Welcome back. This is a winning district for Democrats. I live in Clark County with my wife and child. I don't know where they are, but you've seen him running around. There they are, playing. Missy, my wife there, is from New Washington. We live on a 40-acre farm. We settled down there and had cats over there, and love every moment of it. So we're just down the road, 20 minutes. So I'm here in Madison and Hanover all the time. I have an addiction to Genevieve's peanut butter milkshakes. And I get them when I'm alone, and it's a problem, and they need your help there as well. But I love this guy. So I am an emergency physician. I work in emergency departments, but I actually left that a while ago, and I built telemedicine companies. So we're all used to telemedicine at this point, but I got started working on that in 2011, which is way before it wasn't even called telemedicine, telehealth at the time. It was just called kind of using a video screen. And I made a couple companies from them, made a few physician practices, and what I decided to do is treat our most vulnerable people in our society. Those who really needed a ton of help because they didn't have access to care. And those, for me, were patients in nursing homes for the most part. And patients in nursing homes only have about 1 or 2 hours of access to physician care a week. And what we did is we gave them 24/7 access to care. Seems like a no-brainer. And what we did is save lives that would otherwise not be saved. Got to people earlier in their disease process, and also reduced hospitalizations tremendously. That saved $100 million for Medicare over the course of a few years, which is what brought me to DC. So DC and Medicare said, where's our why do we have $100 million extra dollars in our bank account? What's going on? And they asked me to come, and I became part of a group that wrote the blueprint for how we would use telemedicine in the United States. And this is about 2017, 2018. And what we did was we started getting bills through Congress. Imagine that. There are bills through Congress. It used to happen. Yeah, it used to happen. So we started getting bills through Congress, and there were bipartisan bills. Imagine that. Yeah, thank you. The gasp is what yeah, for sure. And there were bipartisan bills, and we made telemedicine for veterans. We made telemedicine for seniors. We made telemedicine for people on dialysis. We made telemedicine for people who are having strokes and ambulances. We made telemedicine for those in nursing homes. We got this one bill, 4 of those bills passed. The 5th one was the nursing home bill, the one that would have supported my business. And the way we did this, and got people on board, as I go into a Republican's office, and I actually found out this number, there were 423 different Hill meetings that I took in 2017. A lobbyist that I had worked with told me that number. I was in DC a couple of days ago, so 423, it was a lot of work. And we go into a Republican's office and we'd say, we've got this amazing innovation. It's going to save a lot of money, and it's also going to help a lot of people. And then we'd go into a Democrat's office and we'd say, I have this amazing innovation. It's going to help a lot of people. It's also going to save a lot of money. And what I learned through that process is that we as Americans really do value much of the same things. It's maybe just how we prioritize it, or even maybe how we just message it. And I go back to that bill that we introduced on the last day of Congress in 2018. for giving telemedicine to patients in nursing homes. And it didn't get passed. And the reason it didn't get passed, even though it had bipartisan support, is that the government shut down the next day. And it shut down for the longest time in history. And that was over the border wall for the most part of the time. Lasted into the end of January, February. And what happened is that my company, my medical practice, telemedicine, I actually had to shut it down for a little while. And most people were saying, okay, the government shut down. I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? We don't go to national parks for a little bit. It's the winter anyway. People get furloughed, but they'll get paid. But actually, to me, what I saw was we were treating people across the country, 5,000 people a day actually, and we were saving lives that otherwise wouldn't be saved. And then all of a sudden, people were dying. I'd get calls from nurses, calls from families that I had become attached to, calls from nursing home administrators saying, if you were here, these people would be alive. And so, partisanship, fighting in Congress that hit a peak in 2019 and has only gotten higher since then, is personal to me and personal to the people that I serve. And that's when I decided to run for Congress. And so I decided to run for Congress for two reasons. One, I'm a Democrat. I believe in democratic ideals. Right? I've been in rooms with emergency medicine doctors. Remember, I've been in rooms with women who've been raped many times, not just a couple times. I've been in rooms with girls who've been raped. And not once when we're having these difficult decisions do we ever think about what the government has to say about that. It's between a woman's family, and a physician. And government has no place. There's a lot of people out there without a roof over their head. There's a lot of people out there who can't afford their medications. And I'm not sure how much you're all hooked into the national scene of politics, but I'll tell you, the Republican Study Committee, which is most of the Republicans in Congress, just put out what they would like to do with the budget, especially if Trump gets in power, especially if they take both the Senate and the House and the presidency. And one thing they want to do is, we just made all this progress, and Biden did with the bipartisan support in the Senate, put caps on insulin, $35 caps. They want to lift that. And they want the pharma companies to get more money. That makes no sense. And they call themselves fiscally responsible. And to me, the Republican Party right now, especially on the way right side, and I don't mean all my colleagues in the Republican Party, but those who are, hey Cass. Cass hates insulin caps being lifted. What was I saying? So it's fiscally irresponsible, right? And it's fiscally irresponsible to shut down the government, and it's fiscally irresponsible, as well as socially irresponsible, to dig your heels in, no matter which side you're in, and say, I'm not going to work with you. I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to complain. I'm going to dig my heels in, go on Fox, go on CNN, go on NBC, wherever, and say, this is what I believe. This is how I started here, telling you what I believe. But I also want to do the work, because we're Hoosiers. Hoosiers do work. I lived in New Washington, right, on a 40-acre farm. I'm around a lot of farmers, a lot of people with hands that have dirt in them forever. You know, to see these people with these big hands, you must not have been born into those. Right? People who work, value work, and we've been bestowed a right to vote for our representatives And if we work for that right, and we have that right, and we use it to vote for people who refuse to work, that makes no sense. That's asking to be represented by someone who's not going to represent you. And that's what my opponent right now, Erin Houchin, is. She is nowhere to be found, except when she comes into district and talks to business people, not even small business people. She has voted against the budget 3 times since September. 3 times she has tried to close down the government. And yes, that's fiscally irresponsible, but please remember, people get hurt. People die when you do that. It is not responsible to do so. And I don't know how we could possibly vote and send a woman like that back to Congress. So I've done the work, and I'm a doctor, right? I've gone through residency, it's hard, by the way. And then I've started some businesses, that's hard. I've done the 100-hour week many, many times. And I wanted to tell you a story that someone on my campaign has encouraged me to tell. It's a little hard. So I did my training for becoming an emergency doctor in Boston. And my chief residency here was started on April 15, 2013. That was the date. And it was at 2 o'clock was my first shift. And at 2:53, 2 pressure cookers went off at the Boston Marathon. And so that was my first day of chief residency. So I was in charge of 39 other residents, in charge of this emergency department. Wow, my whole life changed in that moment. And we saved 23 people's lives that day. No one died in our emergency department. And a lot of people lost limbs. One woman who I remember very well, think about often, who lost a eye. But what we were reflecting on is, never once when we went to save these people's lives, did we say, wait a minute, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Should I say, should I help you? Nor did I say to the person, the nurse to my left or the doctor to my right, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Maybe you guys should go over there and we'll go over here and we'll treat our different people together. Right? That division doesn't make sense when you're thinking about doing the right thing for people. And isn't that what politics is supposed to be? Isn't that what governance is supposed to be? Isn't that why we elect people? It's to help them. So I've done it in Congress already, not as a congressperson, but sitting there testifying before Congress, working on bills, working with various representatives, senators, lobbyists, advocates, people who all want to care about moving this country forward. And I promise you, we will not move this country forward, and we will not get things we believe in as Democrats. We will not restore women's rights. We will not keep caps on insulin and everything else that is being capped right now so that we can have access to medications. We will not keep pre-existing conditions. That is going away if we lose the House. All right, and a lot of people are going to lose insurance. That is going away. Why do I know that's going away? It's literally put out by most of the Republicans in Congress this week, put out that is what they intend to do. It's not going to be pretty. And so I'm out here, I'm trying hard. We have an organization. We have a very nice organization that we've made. We're in both places at once, right? I'm here. But we also have a team right now with your nephew, right?